Recording has begun.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Today is Friday, the 13th of October 2023, and the time is around about 20 to 6. My name is Shazad Hussain, and I live at 20 Primary Way in Undercliff, Bradford. And today has been 66 days since the local authority, Bradford Council, have kidnapped my brother and are holding him at ransom and at hostage without telling me his whereabouts or where he is and what's happening. Yes, this is my house. This is my care home that I created for my brother, which they've obviously kidnapped him from. It's a bit cold today compared to normal. It's getting to be a bit chilly. So I'm just going to sit down and have a bit of a natter about what's going on. Today is Friday, and every day I'm forced to humiliate and degrade myself, as I'm forced to ring up the council workers, social solicitors and social workers, and they refuse to engage with me. And also I've got court proceedings coming up where they're trying to make me homeless and trying to use the legal process by buying off the judges. I'll have a further discussion about that in the coming days, because it's not until Tuesday next week I'm back in court. But what I wanted to discuss today is one of the main problems I'm having with the state, or people working in the state, such as social workers and trade professionals, is that what they want to do is they want to have privacy and human rights while working in a profession such as in the public service. And you'll be saying, well, of course, they're humans too, are they not? Did they lose their humanity when they started working for the public authority? And I would say, no, you don't understand. There are civilians and there are officers. When a person, a normal person, in everyday life that's not working, they're civilians. They have certain protected rights, because as civilians, as people abiding by the law, we've given up all our other fundamental rights of protection. Nobody carries around a sword with them or a gun with them to protect them. We've given that up because we live in civilized society, and as living in civilized society, we don't carry weapons around anymore to protect ourselves, because we are part of a civilized discourse of society, and in that discourse of society, we give up our certain freedoms, certain rights to protection, in order to be protected by state agents. Now, if you are a person that goes and works, for example, if you go work in the post office as a postman, or if you work in the NHS, or if you work as a social worker, or if you work in the council, but focus on this, if you work for the Information Commissioner's Office, such as the interactions I've had. And this is the idiocracy of the Information Commissioner. He himself does not know the laws. They're just pandering to whatever's popular. And what's popular is that it's in the organization's corporate interest to protect and safeguard their employees. They're under employment contract, and therefore they lose a lot of their freedom and liberties. If you're an employee, you have to be under somebody else's control. So in this particular case, I had a conversation with a call handler. I rang up on a public line. I proceeded to remain anonymous and looking for advice. I started to speak to this call handler from the ICO. I think her name is Fiza or something. And I started asking her for some advice regarding call recordings, and she started going on about, you need consent, and I give it, no, I don't need consent. And anyway, we got into a bit of a ruckus where she was trying to give, as a paid employee working on an advice line on the Information Commissioner's advice line, she was giving me wrong information, saying that I need to get consent, and I tried to give her an example that I don't need to consent. Anyway, what's happened is that subsequently, only today, I found out that she herself went and removed my YouTube videos of a call recording that I had made available to the world. Now, now the ICO are saying, well, we're not aware of this. She's done that in her own capacity as a private citizen. And this is the whole point that I'm trying to make. You are not a private citizen. I did not call her up. I did not engage with her as a private citizen. I called her up as an agent and a proxy representative of the Information Commissioner. All right. So she was part of a corporation. So when I spoke to her, it was nothing personal. She was refusing to even give me her name. So she was saying that I don't want to give you my name, and I insisted that I need her name. all right, to identify her because I lodged a complaint about her. So at one point, she was engaging with me as a member of the public, as a civilian, without giving me her name. I insisted on getting her name, and then when I got advice from her, she gave me wrong advice, so I then looked to escalate that. I then told her I've made a call recording because I have a right to record my calls with these state agents or representatives of the state agent. I recorded that and uploaded it to YouTube. She in herself then outstepped that line and got that removed as a private citizen, and that the ICO thinks is fine. The Information Commissioner thinks is fine. Now this is a very subtle but a very pertinent point, is that often when I'm engaging with these people, they come here, a social worker will come here, they're not a private citizen, they'll come over with the police. Alright, that's not a private citizen. I can't go over to somebody's house, with the heavies of the police and all this backing, alright, with solicitors and barristers and lawyers at my disposal when I go to somebody's house. Social workers can come to my house with all this power and authority, and then they still want rights to human rights or privacy. It's just simply ridiculous, and I'm obviously faced with a situation where I live in a world of idiots. Absolute incompetent idiots, and they're not just the idiots that I can, like in my street somewhere where I can tell them, do one, you village idiot, you village fool. I'm dealing with people that are paid at public expense, and you can forgive me for being slightly irate today, because I'm having to deal with people that are just dumb. They're just idiots. They got trainings and they can't do the job properly, and it's not just the case that they're at the lower level, like let's just say social workers. It goes all the way to the top. It's the middle managers and the bosses. They're all morons. We live in a world full of morons. Now, I told this guy was being very, I was just reading some documents, and this guy was being very dictatorial to me, so I don't need to speak to another Hitler, all right? And that term means a totalitarian fascist dictator. That's what I was trying to say. I used the word Hitler to describe a totalitarian fascist dictator who's dictating things to me. And they're all like, oh, I'm just reading some of their emails, oh, I'm sorry, you feel offended that I called you a Hitler. I can go calling somebody a Hitler. How is that exactly offensive? All right? Or you're calling me a Hitler, I'm just so scared of him, he's calling me names and stuff. And they're all just pandering to each other because they're taking public money, and ultimately, what's happening here is that they're taking public money, they're giving the facade of providing a public service, but at the same time, they're pandering to each other because they don't want to be, go up in front of an employment tribunal, so they have employment rights. I've got nothing as a civilian, and I'm asked to engage with these people, and this is a very pertinent point. You do not have rights of a private citizen whilst working as a public officer, because that just makes a whole mockery of the thing. And this is what I'm facing. I'm just facing a world full of idiots. I mean, there's a movie that I once watched called Ideocracy, and it's just so pertinent. I mean, what is everybody just stupid? I think the world has just gone mad. All right, and it's gone mad because, I don't know, maybe it's because of the chemicals that they're putting in our food. I don't know, but I'm dealing with the level of stupid idiots and morons, and these idiot morons are then in charge of vulnerable people such as my parents that have that dementia, and my siblings that have suffered from schizophrenia. You can't be a moron if you're going to have to provide care for somebody. These people can't even take care of themselves, and they're pandering to each other, saying, oh, are you okay? Has he said something to offend you? Don't worry, And what have I said? I've not been rude or disrespectful, all right? I've just told you, look, this is the law. You're giving me bad advice. You should be sacked. That's what should happen. But no, you're all covering each other up because there's employment tribunals going to be, telling you that's unfair dismissal, so you're protecting your own at the expense of protecting and serving the public that you're meant to serve. That is the problem here. They protect their own at the expense of the people that they're meant to serve, and then they get our labour and tax it and say that we're doing it in your interest. If you're doing it in our interest, then quite clearly it's failing, isn't it? I just want to leave it there. I'm just a bit upset having to deal with the level of stupidity that I'm having to deal with. These people couldn't even fight their way out of a paper bag. They're just so incompetent, and it just becomes to be very irksome after a while. All right, and so I tell them, you're morons. You're idiots and morons. And they give it, oh no, Mr. Hussain is offending us, and now what we're going to do is we're going to all collude and conspire to murder his family members off, and murder him off because he's offending us. You know what's offensive? I'll tell you what's offensive. You getting paid a stupid amount of money for you to be able to not do your jobs properly and endangering human life. Morons. I'm a bit upset today. As you can tell, it's not the normal relaxed. It's just because people are triggering me. And they're deliberately triggering me with their level of stupidity. And it goes all the way up to the judges. The judges are acting like morons too. Anyway, my final words are, I will never kill myself, I'm not suicidal, and if I die, it's usually as a direct result or as a consequence of my fighting the state, the local authority, Bradford Council, who are a bunch of morons. There are idiots that can't do the job properly, and quite clearly and evidently they will not be able to look after their own children, was it? They got childcare services got taken off them. Oh, it's so frustrating having to deal with morons.